Are you on Facebook? Can you see us?
Live. We are.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. My name is Araceli, and I'm here with
Colette, Rava, and we are ACDC, which stands
Yeah.
for
Araceli and Colette.
and DC
And
is
Dynamic Change. So we're here to talk to you about all things real estate investing and finances. So I hope you're having a great morning. The weather is finally nice, so
I
it's
know.
fantastic. I've been going out for some little walks, and it's really nice. So how
Yeah.
about yourself, Colette? What have you been doing with this
No.
weather?
Actually working. No, I shouldn't say that. That's not true. I actually have gone to a client slash friend's pool. So she's nice enough to say, hey, you want to come over? And I'm like, yes, of course I want to come over and swim. So we try and social distance and not swim beside each other. But oh my God, it was heaven. It's heaven. Whoever has a pool, you guys are so lucky. It's just, oh my God, it's fantastic. It's like a resort. You don't have to go anywhere. So maybe that's my next investment. What do you think? Pool?
Hey, why not?
But that's the trick, right? Because pools are really tricky. They're expensive to run.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, people ask me all the time, is it good to have a pool? Like, do you get more money? Is it better to invest in a pool or to not have a pool?
Yeah, for real estate, my thoughts are I'm always trying to run away when I see pools because of the cost to maintain them.
Yeah.
And you never know, like if they're not in good shape at the time you're buying, then you're going to have to invest a lot of money trying to repair it, all those kind of things. So anyway.
That's a very good point. What I didn't even think about that, because what I do when I buy a house that is in the winter or the pool has already been closed, you can write into the agreement of purchase and sale to say they are responsible for opening the pool, and you can even hold back some money, or to say, you agree to hire the pool opener person, or when you figure out your opening, if you can open it like late enough in the season, like let's say in the spring, if it's April or May, absolutely get them to do it for you before you close. So there are little tricks that you can write in depending on the time of the year.
Good to know.
Yeah, and if you want a list too, I have some other tricks too, but I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
You just have to hire me.
So anyway, today we wanted to talk to you about how to get started in real estate investing. And I'm going to tell you something, Colette. I didn't start investing in real estate because I didn't think I can. For the longest time, I really didn't think that I could do it. My parents never really told me, hey, buy a property as soon as you can. That's kind of like good investment. I really didn't think that I could do it. So that was one thing.
I hear it all the time.
Yeah, and I just think that is depends on your upbringing. I think that has a big impact.
Yeah, and I have to say, I grew up with the entrepreneurial spirit in my household, and I don't talk much about my family, but if you see my last name, my last name, can you see that? Oh, sorry,
I can see it. Yeah.
But anyway, my last name is Raba, so there's a connection there to the stores. But growing up with that, it's sort of, we were always peppered with that, with information of like, take care of yourself. What can you do? Don't spend your money, save your money, buy real estate. Like that was always this kind of underlying thing, even as kids.
Yeah.
And I didn't get, even with that, I didn't get started till I was like, my husband and I bought our house the first house we bought, we were in our 20s because we got married, and that's sort of the thing that we were supposed to do. And just doing that sort of, and then, moving forward and growing a little bit. It's harder these days, but don't think it's impossible.
Yeah. I think that there is a major distinction here, Colette, because you already had that desire to begin with. I never had the desire at all. The only thing I wanted is a place to live.
Right.
But I never thought that I could own more property, that I could get some cash flow that I could get the appreciation. It was never in my head until later in life when I started to go through different transitions in my life. And I said, you know what, I have to find something that could help me navigate through these changes. And it's something that is constant, that I can own, that I can consistently predict what is happening with it.
Yeah.
You know,
and
with
it's
people,
growing without a lot
you
of
don't know.
energy.
Exactly. And the thing is, when I got divorced, you know, I thought that I was going to be married forever. But the fact is that you don't know. Like, you could either get divorced, but if you don't get divorced, somebody could pass away. So there's lots of things that you cannot predict.
Right.
And I think having real estate is one of the best things to accumulate wealth.
Yeah.
And also to create some passive income for yourself.
What's this? I think the statistic is something like 90% of millionaires are you know, started or they built their wealth.
They own real estate.
Yeah, or they own real estate. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, we're not talking like crazy. Who is that? Serena Williams, that doesn't even know how many houses she has. Like, we're not talking that. Like, that's great. Good for her. Good for her. But, you know, normal people, average people, when you say, okay, I need a place to live, that is investing in itself. You're investing in yourself. You're investing in your own well-being by owning a property. Why pay rent when you can have a place to live? And you can also, you know, if you're smart enough, I actually, the lady that bought the house with the pool, we specifically were looking for a house with a second suite in it, with the basement income.
Perfect.
It's a small house. It's not a huge house. It's a bungalow. She only has one bathroom upstairs. She has her enough room for her and her kids. It's a gorgeous house. It's beautiful. She got everything on her wish list. This was years ago, and she still, yesterday, when we were floating around in the pool, she said, I love this house. I can't believe how many times I think about it, and I'm so grateful for waiting. That's the hard part, because we see, you know, whatever, let's see if we see, my average is about 8 to 10 houses that I show a buyer. If one house you really like out of that, and it's a multiple offer situation, you don't get it, you get heartbroken, right?
For sure.
But hang in there. That's what I said to her. Hang in there. You're going to get one that's even better. And what we talked about, I don't know if you believe in The Secret, or, you know, setting your intentions, or really.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was something that we talked about. I said, even for myself, if I say, I remember when we bought this house, I had a very, very specific wish list. I wanted so many rooms. I wanted 2 garages. I wanted my price. I wanted an office on the main floor. I got everything on my wish list. So if your intentions aren't clear, I'm a big believer in that. So really write out your wish list, what you want, and know that you still might have to be a little flexible with it. But, you know, if it's something that, like, when you go to the States, you know your area, where you want to be. You have a price list. You know how many bedrooms. You know what's best for growth in that area. You're not going to buy a 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo. You know, you have a very specific kind of buyer for that. Maybe that's all you can afford. That's okay.
Yeah.
But you got to start somewhere. So I really, even if you have a 1-bed, 1-bath condo, you can still rent it out as an Airbnb. Oh, that's the thing that we were talking about too.
Yeah.
Just a little note, because of COVID, I have to say, know the rules about where you're living, because right now in the province of Ontario, there was a state of emergency that didn't allow short-term rentals. They just released it on the 4th of June that allows it again. So hallelujah. That was, you know, my little worry that I would have all summer with no income, but I'm lucky because I have my place in the county. It's good to go. The other thing too is not just because of COVID, but on a regular basis, when you have an Airbnb, know the rules. In Toronto, Airbnb is not allowed. I think in New York City too, Airbnb is not allowed. In other communities, they might want you to get a license before, and it's, you know, I'm on the fence about that, about rules, you know.
Well,
yeah.
Who is for the rules? You know,
right.
Sometimes you really have, they are in place to protect the majority of people.
Exactly.
But sometimes the rules can be a little bit tricky.
Right.
And it can also not allow you to make a profit because of those rules. So you have
exactly. So that's what I'm saying with whatever you decide. If you do decide to do a short-term accommodation, it's called the STA. If I ever say STA, they're also called a short-term accommodation. But if you want to do a short-term rental situation, know the rules before you go, even if you don't even look to buy. There's lots of communities that even don't have any regulation, but they might come. So those are the tricky things depending on where you are. Mississauga, I don't even know what the rules are in Mississauga right now, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know for short-term rentals. I don't know. But that basically takes us to one of the ways that you can get started in real estate investing is by having an Airbnb, whether it is that you're renting a full space separated, which could be your basement,
even a bedroom,
or a bedroom. A bedroom normally you would have to go through their house in order to access the bedroom. When you have something separate, which is like it could be a basement, or maybe you have a separate entrance, maybe a back entrance that they can use. And they can use isolated. It depends on what your property looks like and what you could do with it.
Right.
But there's very easy ways to convert maybe your basement to add a second entrance. So you got to start being creative if you don't have a lot of money to get started. But what can you do today? If you do have a property, maybe your kids are gone now and you have an extra 1 or 2 bedrooms that you might be able to rent. That is a really easier way. Also will allow you more than anything is to understand what are you able to do yourself. Like sometimes we think that we want to be landlords, but a lot of people say, oh my God, no, this is a horrible situation. I'll never do it again. Right. So with the short-term rental, you're able to see how you negotiate the prices. How do you like having people in your house? And all of these things are important because you have to cater to your personality as well. If you're not somebody that wants somebody in their house, this might not be for you.
Right.
But
you know what?
Yeah.
I want to just say one thing.
Yeah. So
the one little thing, it's a big thing, but I'm just saying it's a one little thing. To I don't know, I'm sure there's a quote out there saying it better than how I'm going to say it, but you have to be a little uncomfortable to move ahead. So even to say I want to make a little bit of money, you're going to have to go out and work. So if you want to make a little bit of money out of your house, you're going to be a little uncomfortable. Somebody's going to have to come and stay with you. So even with short-term rental, there are other pockets in there within that short-term rental kind of umbrella where you can even rent to students Monday to Friday. I have a girlfriend who does that. Or to professional. You can, if you are a woman and you only want to have a woman live with you, you can do that. One thing I would suggest is really get to know the Landlord and Tenant Act and what you're allowed to say and what you're not allowed to, or you're not allowed to. You have to allow certain things, and there are other things that it's okay for you to say, I prefer not to have dogs, let's say. So how do you do that? And there is a way around it. You're not really allowed to say no dogs allowed, but if you have allergies or if you have, some kind of a really big thing with dogs or cats or birds or whatever it is, you have to be sure that you're getting that person, that tenant understands why you're saying, I'm sorry, I can't have dogs. We're all human beings. There is the law to protect us, but also there is this, person-to-person contact to say, I'm sorry, I can't allow dogs because I have very, very bad allergies and I wish I can, but people understand that. They're not going to take you to court to say, well, you're not allowed to say I can't have a dog. So, and that I can rant on, but I'm not going to. But absolutely. I think even if you want to say, a few years ago, we went to Europe. Somebody was a tenant in the condo that we stayed in. They rented it to us, probably without the landlord knowing. So what are we going to do? We're already in, it was Spain. We're already in Spain. What are we going to do? We're not going to say,
get somewhere else.
Yeah, right. Where are you going to find, we've already paid. There's accommodations already done. You know, they came, they said, oh, and we're like, well, where are you going? If this is your house, they're like, oh, we're just going to stay with a friend. But when you think of, you know, somebody being enterprising, I'm all over that. That's great. That's a great idea. I'm glad you made a little bit of money. You go and stay with your friend. It's not a big deal. The place was clean. The place was nice. And they're making a little bit of money. So why not? Anyway, so I don't recommend it. Know your rules first. Be safe first. Yeah. And then figure it out. If my kids said to me, hey, Mom, I'm going to rent out my Airbnb. Can I like sleep in your bed tonight? Yeah, no. That's not going to happen. So really be comfortable. But there's also, I was going to mention something else too. There is a few people, I don't know too much about it, but there are a few people that are seniors. I know you mentioned seniors or women that are, you know, or people that have their house, the kids have gone off to university or they've grown and you have this big house. What do you do? So you can rent to someone to help you out. You know, you give them a cheaper rate, a room rate, and they have their little room and they have access to the bathroom and the kitchen, obviously. But then, you know, these are professionals that sometimes only need it for a short term, but they will help you out and mow the lawn or do, you know, cleaning up in the house or chores that might be a little bit difficult for someone who's a little bit older. So there are all these options. And, you know, we're here for you guys to answer any of these questions. If anybody wants more information about either of those options.
Also for seniors as well, Colette, some people, they actually, you can get somebody else to cook for you, to do chores, maybe to mow the lawn. Yeah. Some of those things are fantastic. And also seniors appreciate the company. If they are by themselves, if they lost their spouse and their kids are gone, they do appreciate to have a company, and then you will have a cheaper place to stay. They will make a little bit more money. So it's a win-win for everybody. But at the same time, you need to know what your comfort level is. So I think that is a very easy way to get started with real estate investing, because then you can see, you get exposed to the rules, you get exposed to people, you get exposed to negotiating. So there's a lot of skills that you need to have.
Right. And make sure you hire professionals to write a proper lease for you, because the lease has to be a win-win for both parties. So when you talk to a lot of these people, I actually had one experience with a young woman who did tell me that she was in a place like that. And she told me that the woman kicked her out because of COVID. So I don't understand that, because if you're already living with someone and then, you know, and is it allowed? Are you allowed to kick out somebody like that? So in my mind, probably not. But then what's the alternative? You're going to take them to court. Like, the courts aren't open. So by the time she said, you know, it's just not worth it, I'm not going to fight her, she's uncomfortable, and she left. But moving forward, this is something that's going to be in all leases or in all, even purchase and sale of contracts, that because of COVID, if certain things happen because of whatever pandemic, you know, you can't close on time, things like that. Those are things that are going to be added into a you know, you have to keep yourself as a client. You know, I want to keep my client safe, but on the other side, I have to make sure whoever is on the other end of that lease or the sale also understands the rules, and the rules apply for both parties. So that's a whole legally thing, and, you know, I don't have to get into it, but, you know, be aware if you're right in the middle of something, even if you're not using me, it's okay, but make sure you're safe.
Exactly. So that's basically, we're just trying to give you the information that you need. If you think that we can be of help, please reach out. But if not, if you're in a different area, please reach out to a professional that you're comfortable with and ask some questions. I think that's the most important thing, to make sure that you are comfortable with people that you're working with. And especially if this is the first time you're doing it. So just to be extra cautious, That's pretty much where we're talking about this. Now, another thing that you could do as well is doing a long-term rentals. That's one of the things that I do. And what happens is, like, if you have a bigger house that you may be able to do some minor renovations to split it, maybe you have to do an extra bathroom in the basement, or, you know, some people have actually split the house in the same floor because they have a bungalow that is really long, and they can do an entrance in the back and just add an extra bathroom. Sure. And they have a separate bedroom. Yeah. So it depends on, you know, how your property is, but the same, check with your real estate agent and see if you're allowed to do that, to have somebody there for a long term, and, you know, at least from 1 year or more.
Well, and the one thing too that I think the biggest fear when I hear people that are sort of trepidatious about getting a long-term tenant is they don't, or, you know, maybe they don't know because they haven't done it before, but they get to choose the tenant. It's not like, oh, I just have to take whoever comes off the street. You have to vet them. You have to ask certain questions. I have a great list of questions that I ask even before I show the house. I don't even, so if I help landlords rent, I will tell them, listen, just keep, you know, it might take a little bit longer because a lot of the normal way of renting is kind of backwards, in my opinion, where you show the house, and then it's like you're showing the house to unqualified people. Why am I wasting my time? Why am I getting my landlords excited about people who aren't qualified? So I qualify them first. I have 10 questions I ask. If you want to know, you'll have to, like, ask me. You got to make a little note and I'll send it to you. But they're very, very important questions. And it's not something that's illegal. You are allowed to ask these questions. Yeah. They're all questions that are asked on a rental application, but it's how you ask them that makes the difference. So things like that, you really want to get to the point before you even show the house, because who wants to, especially now in COVID, I don't want somebody running through my property, that's, you know, right. 10, 20, 30 people. No, it's just not, no. If you're not qualified, too bad. So if you answer those questions, then you get to see the house, and then we have an agreement, and it's much faster at that point too. So I know it might be a little bit backwards, but it's something that I really pride myself on. And so far, knock on wood, I want to say, aside from one tenant that I've put into landlords' properties, one tenant out of, I don't know how many, 50 was bad. So I think that's a pretty good track record. I mean, it's not really, you know, what do you consider bad? What I consider bad is they don't pay their rent and they're loud and they have a dog. They got a dog too. They got a dog after the fact, which you can't kick them out because of that.
That's right. Yeah.
But they did. And, you know, that's kind of a bad mark on them.
Yeah.
But anyway, like there are really great people out there. I mean, you and I don't know about you, but I was a renter at one point. I think I was an excellent renter. I think you're a renter.
Yeah.
You know, we're professional people. If you know that someone is professional, they're responsible, they'll care for your property like it's theirs. It's their home. It's pride. And there are little ways that you can check on that too. So
one of the things that I just want to mention, Colette, is a lot of people tell me that they don't want to be renters, or actually they don't want to be landlords because they have heard all of the horror stories that happen. And it is true. Believe me, when you get a bad tenant, it could be a really bad tenant.
Of course.
However, you know, if you look at the statistics, about 98% of the renters are good renters. So they pay the rent and they behave normal most of the time, right? Yeah. It's only the 2% that they are professional tenants, that they might know the rules and they might get away with anything that you may say that is not completely correct, or there's no lease that has the right clauses, something like that. So those are the 2% are the ones that basically cause all the damage and the bad rep to renters. So I just wanted to point out that if you do the proper due diligence and pre-qualify them, just like Colette does with her questions, you have a lot less chance that you're going to have a bad renter.
Right. And you know what? There is something to be said about when you meet them. I make all my landlords meet their tenants, even if they say, you know, I don't want to meet them. Go ahead, just do it. We trust you. I think that it's very, very important that every landlord meets a tenant, and it's also you get a vibe off of them.
Yeah.
You know, some people will blurt out stuff that they don't mean to blurt out. And sometimes that makes a huge difference in whether or not you rent to them or not. I'll give you an example. I had a couple come through a property that's a long-term property for a landlord. And the woman said, oh, you know, we're only going to be here for maybe a year, maybe like a year and a half. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. I want somebody who's here for, you know, I want you to start a family. This is a family house. I want you to take pride in where you live. I want you to set down roots. But not all landlords feel that way. Some landlords want them out after a year. And how do you get them out? When it's a long-term renter, it's harder to get them out in Ontario. In Ontario, yeah. So when you're really thinking about being a landlord, you do have to take the risk. I'm sorry to say it. Even as a short-term renter, you hear things about Airbnb too, how people come in and they have a giant party and they trash the house and all that stuff. You are protected a little bit more because you get their credit cards. Airbnb protects you with insurance, and you can get extra rental insurance also on top of it. And I mean, it's a cost. It's not a huge cost, but it's a cost. But also to make you feel safe, you can go through Airbnb's vetting process. They do have a review process for the renters or the guests. And also those guests review you as the host as well. So those are things that, you know, I really, really appreciate whoever created, I don't know who the owner was or who the creator was of Airbnb, but something like that. It's almost like Uber. When you have to review each other, you get more of a good feeling of who you actually want to.
And then as you either rent Airbnbs or you're using Airbnb, then you get a review both ways, which allows you to have a track record, especially for people that travel a lot, right? I used Airbnb quite a lot when I went to the US before I had somewhere to stay. And then you can get, you know, a review. You just, you know, you are an honest person, and, you know, you just go there to sleep and you don't have parties and things like that. So that is actually really great.
Yeah. And you know what? To be honest, I have to brag. I'm a super host. And I didn't even know what that was. I had no idea what that was.
I can tell you, I had mixed experiences with the Airbnb. The last one, I was in Quebec, and I had a really great little apartment. And, I got wine, I got a piece of bread, and I have some stuff in the fridge, some sodas. It was actually great experience. I loved that apartment. I can tell you that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I have gone to some Airbnbs that I couldn't even get soap.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's really, you know, when you think of being, you know, that human touch, right? Like, that's the thing that even for like long-term tenants, I've given baskets to say welcome to the neighborhood and gave them stuff. There's no review process when it's a long-term tenant, but it's just being a human being and saying, hey, you know what, even a sort of a moving in kind of basket where, you know, you might have some, obviously now it's even more important. You have cleaners, you have toilet paper, you have, you know, a couple sponges, some soap. Like, these are things that you make that person feel like, oh my God, okay, you're thinking of me. We're human beings, and, you know, we're in this together, sort of thing. So always remember that too. Yeah.
So there is, so just to kind of summarize, so you can start with an Airbnb, whether it is short-term or long-term, a little bit long-term, or you can have a long-term renter if you want to maybe modify your basement or another part of your house as well.
Even a bedroom, sure.
Exactly. Or you can get, if you have a little bit more money, you can get started with buying a property that you can just have a long-term renter as well.
You know what? Why don't we save that for next week? Because we should really talk about lines of credit. So if you already own a property, but you don't want someone to live with you, what you can do with your lines of credit and how much you can take out.
Okay, so yeah.
So that's the second phase, maybe.
But make sure that you understand what strategy you're going for.
Right.
So that also ties into your finances, you know, how much money you have, how much cash flow do you have, how secure is your job, how much other savings you have, and obviously your expenses, your lifestyle plays a big role into it, right?
Right.
If you want to be more involved into the rental process, or you want to hire a property manager, there's a whole bunch of things that we can get into it next time, because it's really involved. So
yeah. And this is the thing. So we were talking a little bit about getting your wish list figured out. So find out, you know, ask yourself those hard questions. Do I want to be a landlord? What kind of investment do I want to start in? You know, how much money do I need to get started? And guess who can help you? Araceli can help you with all that stuff. So you figure out what you want to do. If you have any questions, we're here for you. You can ask Araceli anything about finances. She'll point you in the right direction. So when it comes time to buy a property,
yeah, of course.
So we like working together that way, because really it's a collaboration. Like we're in this all together. We do want to help you. We don't want to steer you in the wrong direction, but to get prepared before you even think of buying a property, get your finances figured out and your wish list. And that lady can help you.
Yes. Yeah. Well, with that, we can tell you that we're looking forward to see you next week. And please, if you do have a question specifically that we didn't cover today, that it was related to any Airbnb, long-term rentals or short-term rentals, anything that we said today, and you wanted more information, please reach out. If it is something a little bit more complicated, maybe we'll talk about it at the next live video.
Yeah, and I was going to say too, don't worry about us calling you out if you don't want your name to be said. Like we tell stories about past clients. We tell stories about other questions that people say. You can be anonymous. You're not going to be called out. There is no such thing as a bad question. I had one client ask me what a solicitor was, for example. She didn't know what a solicitor was because it's such a weird word, and it's a British word, and it's not, it's a lawyer. And I said, oh, that's funny. She just never heard of it. So don't worry about asking us any questions.
If you're not familiar with the terms, you know, sometimes even if you've said it, it says, what's it again? I don't know.
Soliciting. Yeah, because soliciting is not a good word. Like,
it sounds kind of bad, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So things like that, don't ever hesitate to ask us. We're here for you. You know, it could be a simple question or a very complex question. We'll do our best. If we don't have the answers, we'll find somebody that
we'll find out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's great. Well, with that, have a fantastic rest of the week, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 11.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.